There was one here I wanted to. There are a couple of ones. Geez, I'm running out of time, but there are a couple I still want to answer. I've heard you mention in interviews, this is from George, I've heard you mention in interviews, most recently the Rubin Report, that you used to be pro-choice. Then you say you lost an argument with someone and changed your opinion to pro-life. What was the person's argument that so influenced you? I engage with pro-choicers frequently, but I doubt that my arguments have changed anyone's mind. I realize that whatever caused you to rethink your position will not necessarily persuade someone else, but I'm wondering if there is a case I have not made. Well, first of all, it had to do with the guy I was arguing with, one of my oldest friends, but at the time he was not one of my oldest friends because I wasn't old enough to have oldest friends. And he was a guy I really, as today, like and trust and admire. I admire his intelligence. He's always had very honest, open arguments with me. He was a devout Catholic, and he didn't jump on me. He didn't scream at me. You know, it was a very civilized argument that went into the long hours, and I'm a good arguer when I'm allowed to speak and debate, you know, but I felt I lost the argument, fair and square. I mean, I felt I lost the argument. And the thing that I think most impressed me was when I made the argument that it's just a, you know, patch of cells, a bunch of cells. He very quietly laid out that this is a unique blueprint, at least for an individual, you know, and if left alone, it will develop into a full human being. And that's not true before, because he could, you know, he's a devout Catholic. He doesn't believe in birth control, which I do believe in very deeply. But he didn't even make that argument. He didn't say, he said, this is different. This is different. Once the child is there and is growing, if you don't get in the way, this will become a full human being. And what occurred to me as he was speaking, and I don't remember whether he said this or not, because I was making my arguments and he was making, it occurred to me that we live in time. We don't just live in space, right? If you go to sleep, I can't come in and kill you because you're unconscious, because you will eventually wake up. We live in time. The things that happened to me in the past affect me now. I have things that bother me from the past that have changed my behavior because they happened to me. We don't just live in the dimension of space. It took me 20 years to admit to myself that I had lost the argument because it's such, I was on the left and it was such a, what's the word, a bugbear of the left. You know, it was kind of like one of their idols. But that argument that even though at that moment the person couldn't make a decision, at that moment the person might not feel desire, at that moment the person might not feel pain, though we're not sure of that, but even so, that the person was living in time and would become a human being if left alone. And that is not true before you have sex. It's not true before conception, but it is true afterwards. It's a complete plan for a human being that will develop over time. And you know, it's painful for me because I want women to be happy and have whatever they want and have the freedoms that they want. But you can't kill people to get your freedom.